Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'll be showing you how to build out an AI follow-up caller that will cold call people after they fill out a lead form. And it can qualify the leads, get additional data that you might need, and also just generally warm up the leads. They can hear from over the phone a quote-unquote real person with the company versus just email communication or what have you. And it can greatly improve your sales process and get rid of any junk leads that might just fill out your form or bots or stuff like that. So this works with any type of form, and so I did it with both a Google form as well as Go High Level or any CRM it can work with, just to show it works with both and show you how to build it out for both kind of options. And so what we actually used to build it was, and we'll go through this, was a combination of Vapi, which is where our voice AI is actually hosted and built. Make.com, which is what you're looking at right here, that runs the automations to actually call them. Also send the data, which is super cool part. It sends the data back and you can actually check out how the lead responded without having to listen back on the call. We also used both Google Forms and Go High Level, so that's kind of where you get the lead form from. And then ChatGPT kind of as a buffer to kind of edit some of the data, and you'll see how that works in a second, as well as Google Sheets to store all the data. And so let's get into it, and let's start out with Vapi. So here we are on Vapi, and I'll kind of walk you through generally what everything means here. So up here, we have the title of the follow-up caller, and you can, as you see, you can name it whatever you want. This little button lets you talk to the caller directly without having it call your phone or you calling it. You can duplicate it, trash it. We'll come back to all these codes. And then this gives you, which is really cool, a lot of AI callers don't do this, gives you an estimated cost based on, they actually have a fixed cost of 5 cents per minute. And then based on what transcriber you use, what AI model you use, and what voice provider you use, it'll give an estimated cost per minute, and usually it stays around there. And they do the same thing with latency, and latency basically is just how long it takes to respond after the user speaks. And so 1,000 milliseconds is around a second, and it responds pretty fast, and you'll actually see a demo later in this video. Then as you go lower, I'll go on this right side first. Provider is the AI model that we were talking about. Usually you just want to use OpenAI. They have the best models. And then if you look at their models, GPT 3.5 is the fastest and cheapest. So you'll see our cost and latency went down when we use that. However, GPT 4.0 is by far the best. It's still pretty fast, and it's still pretty cheap, only added 3 cents per minute. And it's leagues better than GPT 3.5. So unless you're doing really simple calls, I recommend GPT 4.0. It remembers more, and especially in this use case, that we're checking out, which is someone's looking to sell their house and they fill out a lead form. So in this situation, we would be a realtor, and it's a seller lead. It can remember all the information about their area and stuff like that. Knowledge base, if this I'm not utilizing in this demo, but this is extremely important if you have knowledge about your local area and you really need to have specific knowledge with the voice AI caller. You would put it here in this section, and it would know about your brokerage, about past deals you've done, about the general market in your area, and you can put basically just like a Google Docs file or Word document in there. Temperature, I'm actually going to turn this down a bit. Basically what temperature is how variable the responses are. So if you turn temperature all the way up, your AI will kind of be more freeform and not stick to this prompt as much. Versus if you turn it all the way down, it will follow it very strictly. And so generally a bit less than 1 for these more business applications works well, but you can always test that out. Max tokens, I'm actually going to turn up. It's just how much it can say in one response. So say you put it at 5 tokens, it might only say a couple words. So you put it at 1,000 tokens, it can say a whole paragraph or more in a response. And then this detect emotion is basically if someone's super mad, it'll actually detect their emotion, and the AI will respond accordingly, kind of like, I'm sorry, I don't know what angered you, is there anything I can do, stuff like that, or even just hang up if someone's very mad. And then we actually get into kind of the first message and the actual prompt. All of this stuff will be linked down below, and you can copy and paste it if you want to recreate this. But first message, it'll call up, it'll say, "Hi, I'm calling because you recently filled out a form expressing interest in selling your property. I have just a few questions to follow up. Is that okay?" And then obviously the lead will respond. And then the actual prompt, so it looks kind of weird and shortened using emojis and stuff. That's actually a prompting technique that these AI basically, when you submit this prompt, the longer it is, the more it will cost and the longer it will take to respond because it has to run through all of this each time someone responds on the phone. So by making it shorter, you decrease the cost and how long it takes for the AI to respond. And you can make it shorter through adding emojis. So this is basically like Ava's calling because the lead filled out a form on house sale interest. Its target is to understand needs and see how the agency can assist. And so instead of using full words, the AI understands this perfectly fine, even a bit better. It provides a bit more context than just words can. And it ends up saving us money and responding faster. So that's why it looks a bit funky. And then also, these kind of asterisks and different things like that is called markdown formatting, which is kind of a visual way of formatting. So this is like italics or bolded and stuff like that. And like these are bullet points, the dashes, and the AI also understands that a bit more. But that's prompt engineering, its whole own domain. And you can just copy and paste this prompt and edit it however you need. But basically, it'll ask the lead 4 core questions: their reason for selling, their timeline for selling, their asking price, what they want to sell the house for, and then any appraisals or consultations they've already had, as well as if they've consulted with other realtors. This will really qualify the lead. You'll get a good feel for how hot the lead is just based on these kind of questions, and that's the real point of this phone caller, is to really break the ice after they fill out the lead form and do it only 10-15 minutes after they fill it out. And so I'll go into some of these other tabs right here. Getting a bit into the weeds of Vapi here, but I'll try and keep it pretty high level so you can understand everything that you need to. So this is the transcriber. So basically how these callers work is ring ring, you're on the phone, and it'll say something to you, which is the first message we just looked at, and then you respond to it. And then it feeds the transcription of that, which is what this part does here, into think like ChatGPT, and then feeds that back into the voice analysis, which turns it into a voice, and then it puts that out through the phone. So it does a couple different things, which is where you see this breakdown of cost. And for transcription, you usually just want to go deep gram, and then for voice, I like 11 Labs Sarah. And then I like 11 Turbo because it's way faster than normal V1. See, the latency went up a bunch. And unless you are doing multiple languages, which is a bit difficult, I wouldn't recommend the multilingual voice configuration. Just go 11 Turbo. Each voice provider, 11 Labs is good, PlayHT is good, Azure is the cheapest, and so each of them will have their different configurations you can do here. Briefly, these will each have kind of a description saying what they do, and then again, this is similar to temperature, and then you can kind of optimize all this stuff just as you kind of test it out. None of it impacts the quality of the voice assistant an incredible amount, but they all do make a difference. In here we have functions, so if you wanted to end up booking a call or what have you, or doing some sort of action based on what the like during the call, say someone's like, I want to book an appointment for 2 p.m. tomorrow, then you would have functions within here. I will be making a video on that soon, but for ours we do not have any functions. If you come down to these predefined functions, which are like already set functions that Vapi has, the end call function I would recommend doing, which allows the voice AI to end the call instead of the user having to do it, so you never get that awkward like, why are they still on the phone with me? And then this dial keypad, if you're calling someone who has, click 1 to talk to the receptionist, click 2 if you want to file a support ticket or what have you. If it's kind of like a robo like router for the call, that allows it to do that. And so you can turn this on. There's no harm in turning it on or off. Then this forwarding phone number is actually really cool. I won't have one in here because I'm not actually live testing this bot, But this is basically if someone detects that it's an AI caller, they can be like, hey, like put me on the phone with a real person. You can put your phone number in here and it'll forward the call to you. And then end call phrases would basically, if it senses the end of the call, it could be like, bye, talk to you soon. And then here's some of the more advanced stuff. This HIPAA compliance is basically, you really only need that if you're working in the medical field, and then that will turn off recording. But we want to record the calls so we can listen back to them. Then here's some of the more general configurations for the call. Silence timeout, I like to have this down at 10 seconds, which is basically if someone just doesn't talk, it'll hang up after 10 seconds. If someone says nothing after 10 seconds, you don't want to be wasting, 16 cents per minute? You don't want to be wasting burning money just because someone left their phone and didn't hang up. The response delay and LLM request delay, by turning these down, it just responds faster. I like to have the interruption threshold at 2. Basically, the interruption threshold is if you're on the phone and the AI is talking and you interrupt it, it's after how long it will stop. And so if you have it at 1 word, it'll like maybe you cough and then the AI will stop and it'll kind of trip everything up. So having it at 2 ensures it only stops when you're actually saying something or the lead is saying something. Basically, we set the max duration to however we think like the longest a call would last. So right now it's at about like 5 minutes, 300 seconds. We can turn that up a bit. So you want to call it last like 10 minutes, 600 seconds, and it goes all the way up to an hour. But basically, that's like if the silence timeout doesn't work, we don't want to be burning $20 on a call that goes an hour for no reason. And so there's really no reason any of these calls should go over 10 minutes. So we kind of set it at that just to make sure we aren't like burning that money from all those extra minutes. And then last here, we have the analysis tab. And so basically, this is a bunch of data that Vapi collects at the end of a call, and you'll see how we're using it in Make. And it basically summarizes the call based on this prompt, which I'll, again, link all in the resource document down below. Basically, like, telling them how to summarize it, and you can format this however you want. I just like it in bullet points. And then the success evaluation, I like to do it on a scale of 1 to 10, and it'll basically score the lead 1 through 10 based on how the call went. So say someone was super engaged, then you could say it's a 10. And if someone's like, hey, like, I'm sorry, I didn't even fill out that, like, stop calling me, it'll grade them at a 1. And you kind of know who to prioritize when reaching out. And then lastly, if you want any structured data, kind of like KPIs, you would put it here, but we don't have any in this case. So basically, that's our entire assistant. And so now I'll go into Make and show you how we kind of automate it all with the forms. So here we are inside of Make. And again, all of these templates will be on the dock and you can download and import them. So I'll start out with the Google form. And so you will have to load your key into Vapi to get this block in Make. And so I'll show you where to do that right now. So if you go on your profile, I'll throw myself over here, and you go to provider credentials, you'll see all these different softwares. And if you scroll down to make.com and you put in your region, so it's any of these 4 options, your API key, and your team ID, you'll be able to access this Vapi block within Make, which makes it so much easier, and I highly recommend doing. And then for this OpenAI block, you'll have to make your own OpenAI API account, kind of load a credit card on there, so that you can use this OpenAI block and be able to use ChatGPT within this function. If you do download this, it should guide you through how to do that in Make. And then Google Forms is available to everybody. So how you import this is you go over here, you would download the blueprint from, again, down in the description. And then if you just click import blueprint, it'll show up your downloads, and then you click on the correct blueprint, and then it'll load this entire thing in with all the values and stuff like that. If you start out at Google Forms, once you get this block, you will have to fill in your own form ID. The way you find that is if you go to your Google form, so this is it, It's the thing between the D backslash and the edit. So this section, that is your form ID that you would put in there. And then your limit is basically how many forms it will go through. So we have it set to run every 15 minutes. Your limit is 2 forms. So if 3 people fill out in 15 minutes, then it'll only process 2 of those and call 2 people of those 3 forms. You can set this number to whatever, as well as this time delay, just depending on how many forms you get. If you generally only get 1 or 2 forms filled out a day, then I would probably do it every half hour, because at the longest, someone will be called after 30 minutes. If you only do it once a day, then someone might fill out a form and 24 hours later they're called, which you don't really want. You kind of want it to be pretty quick. And then this OpenAI block, what this does is it takes the phone number. So I'll show you the form real quick, just so you know the data we're working with. And then if I go preview, and so again, this isn't an actual form you'd use. It's just kind of basic seller qualification form. I want to buy a home. Ask for their name, email, phone number, area they currently live in, and where they're thinking about moving to. And what it does with that in this OpenAI block is it takes their phone number and formats it into the format that Vapi wants. So what this basically does is, no matter if someone puts dashes in their phone number, no matter if someone doesn't put an area code, you don't have to rely on them to put their phone number perfectly. OpenAI and ChatGPT will format it exactly how we want, because Vapi is pretty picky about the format of the phone number. So that's all this ChatGPT block does. If you don't want to use this block, because it does obviously cost, it's a couple cents or whatever to run it every time, if you get a bunch of forms, you can just say in your form, like, please format your phone number like this, yada yada, and just hope that people do it correctly. But I like this just as a precaution to make sure it always does call them. And then here in Vapi is where you got to fill out a bit more stuff. So what you do here, and these will automatically be filled in, is the customer phone number is the result of that OpenAI block. Their name is a result of what they filled out their name in the form. And then I will show you how to find your assistant ID and phone number ID within Vapi right now. So your assistant ID is when you go to assistants and click on the assistant you want. And then you just copy this assistant ID right here and paste it into Make. And then your phone number ID is if you go to phone numbers. And with Vapi, I forgot to mention this, you will have to buy a phone number. They're only $2 a month, super cheap, and you get to pick your area code. It's pretty simple. And this number right here is your phone number ID, and you just copy that and paste both of those into Make. And once you've done all those steps, this Make automation is done, and you will be able to call people through Google Forms. So let me show you how that works right now. So if I fill out this form, I'm only going to fill in my name and my phone number. And so if I submit that form, and then if I go back here and I click run once, you'll see it was all green, which means it all worked. And I'm now getting a call from our assistant. Let me answer it.
Hi, I'm calling because you recently filled out a form expressing interest in selling your property. I have just a few questions to follow up. Is that okay?
And so there we go. That was the assistant calling. And let me show you where it sends the data after that. So again, this blueprint will be accessible in the doc down below. It'll be correctly labeled. And so basically, I'll show you how to set this up. So it all starts with a webhook. And basically what a webhook does is it's kind of like an indicator that something has happened, and it collects data with the internet. So basically this webhook is pasted inside of our Vapi bot, and you'll see how I do that in a second. What it does with that is it notifies it when the call ends, and then all that data, remember the call summary and lead scoring, that all those prompts we filled out and stuff like that, it sends all that data into here. So if you also wanted to book meetings, you can run functions and add them here, but we aren't doing that. So it'll send the end of call report to this Google Sheet. I'll walk through that once we get to that step and what all that kind of entails. So here's a webhook. It's super simple. It's just a link. You copy this link and you go to your Vapi assistant and you go over here to advanced and you paste it in your server URL, and then boom, that webhook is done. And then this router is already set up for you. You don't need to change anything with that. And then you will link your Google Sheets or wherever you store your data. This works with Excel, Airtable, wherever you store your data. And then again, all of these paths will be filled out. You just have to connect your Google account and then choose the right spreadsheet. You'll be able to check all of them through here. And then make sure you have the right sheet name. And it'll fill out all these values. So the phone number, the phone number ID, which tells you which assistant called them if you're calling with multiple assistants, the reason the call ended, the URL to listen to the recording, when it happened, the summary, the transcript, and the lead score. So if we go into this Google Sheet, you can see what all happened. And so these are some test calls I did before, but this is the one we let me get rid of those. This is the one we just did. So as you can see, it has the phone number over here, the phone number ID, which aligns with the assistant. The customer ended the call because I ended the call on my phone. The timestamp of when it happened, the summary, the transcript, which was just the intro message, and then the lead score. So it gave me a 1 out of 10, which is very bad because I just hung up. I didn't listen to them at all, didn't say anything. And so that's how this works. And so once you have all that set up, and this runs instantaneously, so anytime this detects data, this will run. And now that we have that all set up, that's all you need to do if you're using your Google Sheet. Now, Go High Level is a bit complicated, and I'll get into that right now. So there's only one main difference between using a CRM like Go High Level and using Google Forms, which is you'll need a webhook instead of the actual Google Forms block or whatever you have. And so here I am the next day. I actually lied. There is one other difference, but you don't actually have to do anything as a result of it. And that one difference is that these blocks will instead use the information from this webhook instead of the information from the Google form. And so here you go. This uses this result from ChatGPT and this first name from the webhook. And ChatGPT uses the phone number from the webhook as opposed, since the Google form is not in this scenario anymore, you can't use that data, and we use the data from the webhook. So hopefully that clears things up. And basically, I'll show you how this works right now. These other two steps are the exact same as the Google Forms. So if you want to use this with Go High Level or your CRM, you can just refer back to earlier in this video for exactly how these are set up. These two blocks did not change at all. And so let me show you where to put this webhook. So here we are inside of Go High Level. You just want to go over to this automation tab in workflows. And you'll probably have a couple automations if you've been using Go High Level for a while. If not, I just want to take this time to remind you, all of these softwares are linked down below in the description. If you don't use Go High Level and want a new CRM, I highly recommend Go High Level. There is a 30-day free trial. You can click the link in the description to get that. And then as well as all the resources contained in this video are also down there. And so here, we'll just go to this form AI follow-up call automation I already made. Unfortunately, you cannot copy and paste these, so I'll just show you how I made it. So it's super simple. First, you want to trigger that a form has been submitted. And so I just made a quick form that's my name and my number. And so you just want to use that block. I add a tag to the person, which says follow-up call, so you can track in your CRM who has been called. And then you want to use a webhook block here. And what we do is you do webhook post. You paste this URL from make. So right here, this webhook is what we pasted in here. And then you want to add some custom data. So first name and then the contact first name, contact last name, ID, and phone. So it collects all of that so Vapi knows who to call, their first name, all of that. And so to test this out, you can just do test workflow, choose a contact. I'm going to do myself. And then run this test. And then if I run this automation, I should get a call. So you want to use existing data. And then see, I got the call.
I'm calling because you recently filled out a form expressing interest in selling your property. I have just a few questions to follow up. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, that sounds great.
Fantastic. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. To start, could you share why you're looking to sell your property at this time?
Yeah, I mean, home prices have risen so much in the area. Just thought it'd be a good time to move.
I understand. The rise in home prices can indeed make it a good opportunity to sell. Thank you for sharing that. Next, how soon are you looking to sell your property?
Probably within the next 6 months.
Got it. Within the next 6 months. Thanks for that information. What is your asking price for the property?
I'm looking for about $1.4 million.
$1,400,000 noted. That's a significant figure.
Yeah.
Have you had your property appraised recently, or have you consulted with other realtors?
No, you're the first person I've talked to.
It's great to hear you've reached out to us first. I appreciate your trust. It's always useful to gather multiple perspectives, but rest assured our team is committed to providing you with the best advice and service possible.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you once again. You're welcome. Thank you for sharing this information with me. Our team will tailor our approach to meet your needs. And one of our
All right,
realtors
bye.
will reach.
And so it was just going a bit long there. But you can see it did call me. And now we can actually look at this lead score. So here we go. We got a bit more. It rated me a 7. I did hang up on them. I wasn't giving too much. But you have the entire transcript. You have the summary. And then one last thing I wanted to note about this Go High Level. Google Forms you can only schedule. Go High Level, when you use a webhook, you're able to do it instantaneously. So you saw that even though I kept pressing run once, if I had scheduled this and it's immediately as data arrives, as soon as I turn in that lead form, it will call me like a matter of 5-10 seconds after. It's a bit more on demand than the Google Form or some other different lead form options. If you want any tools like this built out for you, feel free to contact me. I build tools like this for realtors all the time. If you need any help with any of the things I talked about in this, if you need any help troubleshooting, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'm sure other people will have the same questions. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.